Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal the International. I'm called Morinzi. We begin with our top stories. Fears of an imminent fuel scarcity in Cameroon as Nigeria has been hit by the fuel shortage for a week now. Already in Abuja, Cameroon consumers are complaining of a sharp increase in prices of fuel, with Cameroon highly dependent on fuel from Africa's #1 producer of oil. There are speculation Cameroon may be hit by a similar crisis. And the training to sharpen skills of communication scribes of two opposition political parties, the SDF and CRM, has been stopped by the administrative authorities of Douala for a training sponsored by the Friedrich Hebert Foundation. And dark clouds linger over the acquisition of medical certificates in Cameroon. The document is becoming scarce in hospitals in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And a newborn baby has been rushed to the hospital after she was abandoned at an 10 Bangwas, a neighborhood here in Lokpom in Cameroon's economic city Douala. The baby was found alive, wrapped in a bedsheet. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. There are fears of an imminent fuel scarcity in Cameroon as Nigeria has been hit by a fuel shortage for a week now. Already in Abuja, consumers are complaining of a sharp increase in the price of fuel, and with Cameroon highly dependent on fuel from Africa's #1 fuel producer, that is Nigeria, there are speculations Cameroon may be hit by a similar crisis if measures are not taken on time. More on the story with our reporter Regina Leketandak.
A long line of cars waiting for fuel at the Nigerian capital, Abuja. It's been 1 week since a fuel shortage hit Africa's #1 producer of oil, and consumers are already feeling the brunt.
But we find ourselves killing and wasting all the whole day on police station, especially in the front of NMB store. So it's not funny. We are not happy about that.
Traffic at petrol stations and rising frustrations amongst consumers as prices have now gone up.
I normally buy 25 liters and it lasts me for 2 days. That's for the price of 4,700. Or with this present fuel scarcity, I've been buying for 7,500 for 25 liters. Just getting there today from a filling station, one of the attendants told me for 25 liters I'm going to pay him 15,000 naira.
Electricity supply in Nigeria is epileptic, and most businessmen rely on generators to run their affairs. With a shortage in fuel, business is already failing.
It's frustrating. There's no much profit to be made because when you spend the whole money on petrol, how do you make extra money? It's not possible. And you have to give the best to your customers, because you can't tell a customer because of fuel you delayed or because of fuel you couldn't deliver on time.
Cameroon relies heavily on Nigeria for fuel. The adulterated fuel, commonly called fungi, is a big business in Cameroon, and with this crisis in Nigeria, fuel deficit should be expected anytime soon in Cameroon, what will slow business between the two neighboring countries.
Two sharpened skills of communication scribes of two opposition political parties in Cameroon, that is the Social Democratic Front and the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, has been stopped by the administrative authorities of the Douala for a municipality. The training was sponsored by the Friedrich Hebert Foundation. More on the story with our reporter Kejan Henry Atembe.
When the Deputy Divisional Officer for the Douala Forward Subdivision halted the holding of a training seminar on political communication, to empower communication officers of the Social Democratic Front and the CRM party. Thinkers and crusaders of freedom frowned at the administrative decision.
So this seminar was not just very important for the Social Democratic Front, it was also important for the rest of Cameroonians. Unfortunately, and against all expectations, when we took our breakfast and were getting into the conference hall for the seminar proper to be launched, the Jew just stumbled in with a lot of force and arrogance, speaking to us very rudely and telling us that we're not supposed to hold the seminar.
Organized by the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung to run from February 16 to 18, 2022 in Douala, participants who were drawn from the nooks and crannies of Cameroon were embarrassed by the decision to stop the communication conclave with further threats of arrest should they violate the law. Reporters vainly managed to hook up with the Deputy Divisional Officer for Douala 4, who claimed he was on break. With a diplomatic status enjoyed for the past 34 years in Cameroon, the Friedrich Ebert is out to promote social democracy, peace and security. The training was out to sharpen the skills of some party scribes of the opposition to better put across the messages.
A newborn baby has been rushed to the hospital after she was found and after being abandoned at the Antenna-Bangwas neighborhood in Lokpomi, Cameroon's economic city Douala. The baby was found alive, wrapped in bedsheet, according to eyewitness accounts. Women with their faces entirely covered passed around that same spot, and a few minutes later the baby was discovered. Saleh Sharif completes that story.
It was a macabre discovery this Thursday, 17th February, at the Douala 5 neighborhood, precisely at Lokpom. A newborn baby, visibly hours old, was found wrapped in a trash can in early hours of Thursday. There was a lady who called this elderly woman to inform her about this baby who has been dumped. And when the lady comes out from her house and finds a huge crowd, then asked them why the child was not taken to the hospital, then took the baby to the hospital. According to some area residents, two ladies who were veiled were seen carrying a baby. Unnoticed by the local residents, the women unwrapped the baby and dumped in the trash can. The cry of the baby alerted the local population that ran for his rescue. Unable to identify the women, the crowd asked an elderly woman who rushed the baby to the nearby hospital. When I arrived, I saw a crowd of 200 people on the spot. Then I asked whether the child was alive and taken to the hospital. When they said the child was still alive, I told them to take the child to the hospital. Investigations have been opened up to track the culprits. It is a common scene in Douala to find newborn babies abandoned by their mothers. Days back, another baby was found dumped in a bin around Bonaberi neighborhood in Douala.
And dark clouds linger over the acquisition of medical documents in Cameroon these days. A document becoming scarce in hospitals in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Polemics over the course and issuing of the vital medical document, which many say is backed by a medical examination. Hyson has been talking with some medical doctors in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. His reports.
At our arrival at the Biamasi District Hospital this Thursday, all the categories of medical certificates were absent. Same situation in many hospitals in the Yaoundé capital city. The scarcity medical personnel say is linked to the difficulties at the printing press and the various procedures between the Ministry of Finance and the health structures. As to the polemics surrounding the acquisition of the medical certificate, be it the ordinary or the medical legal certificate, the procedure remains clear and standard.
The procedure is simple. You come, you have to see the doctor. The doctor can ask you some question. You declare what happened exactly. Then the doctor examine the patient and then judge by himself if it is possible to sign or to establish this certificate.
For those who dish out the precious document without any form of medical consultation, they are not only violating the ethics and deontologies of the profession, but may equally face heavy legal sanctions.
On peut se retrouver facilement dans la faute.
Medical personnel involved in such fishy games can easily get into medical blunder, the non-respect of the rules. Equally, persons who issue fake medical certificates are punished by the penal code. Why is the simple medical certificate sold for at least 1,500 francs, whereas the cost is clearly stated on it as 900 francs? The medics explain.
You have to pay our consultation. You have to consult. After the consultation, we can judge if it is possible to establish the paper or not.
Due to the continuous abuse of the vital health credential, some hospital units have instituted internal trainings of personnel on the measures of adequately establishing the medical certificate.
The second orientation committee meeting of members of the African Communication Regulatory Authorities negotiations cuts across different member states, countries, and not only lobbying for new adhesion but preparing for their upcoming General Assembly. Beatrice Ngamo completes that story.
The come together of the African Communication Regulation Authorities Network, ACRAN, in their second orientation committee is to evaluate the 2019-2022 term of the current president's mandate by Cameroon's National Communication Chairman and set footprints for their upcoming General Assembly.
To lay down the groundwork for the organization in the months ahead of a Pan-African conference that will be taking place in Morocco. The rules that govern ACRAN say that the presidency is held by a country for 2 years and you hand it over to the vice president.
Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Cameroon that took over the presidency of ACRAN in 2019 for a period of 2 years could not hand over in 2021.
The steering committee is here to prepare for the next continental rendezvous. For now, it has a membership of about 36 African countries. One of the things which we want to do in Yaoundé is to try to see if we can encourage other African countries of the 54 that are on the continent to all be part of this Pan-African Union.
Created on the 5th of June 1998 in Libreville, Gabon, with headquarters in Cotonou, the capital of Benin, the Pan-African Union of Media Regulators is a formal framework for establishing, developing, and deepening relations of consultation and exchange between African communication regulatory authorities. This to ensure the communication regulations in place cuts across the member bodies. As a cross-border regulatory platform, now sets the legal framework for communication practices within the Economic and Monetary Community for Central Africa, CEMAC, and the Economic Community for Central African States, ECAS.
And the Ethics Committee of the Commission of Cameroon Musical Arts Corporation has been adjourned. The hearing of 8 case files said to have gone against the rules of the Music Association. The over 5 hour deliberations this Thursday lasted in total. A fiasco. Our reporter Udmul Kusumi has the rest of that story.
Tensions, arguments, noise and conflict is the atmosphere that marked the field ordinarization of the Commission of Ethics and Discipline of the Cameroon Musical Arts Corporation this February 17 in Yaoundé. In-house fighting between the commission members, rendering the commission powerless.
Je suis élu.
I was elected. The Surveillance and the Administration Committee are imposing 3 members each on me. That means I don't have the right to select my members, meaning I don't have power over them. Even when I'm trying to prove a point, they always oppose. We have to look at the statute. I have to select my members to ensure that we do the work.
Où l'arbitrage seront de mise.
8 cases of indiscipline and gross misconduct summoned this day, but no decision arrived at. The first case, that of Atangana Francis Joel, commonly called DJ Bilik, who they say publicly threatened to kill his colleague, in which he denied the claims.
I was convoked with the motive of issuing death threats to someone, but I don't admit that. I did a voice note of 4 minutes 58 seconds where I was talking clearly on the precarious situation of artists in Cameroon.
In what looks like a ping-pong game, the artists said to be indisciplined are equally accusing the committee of total violation of different laws.
I was summoned for an unclear motive, and I, in return, fired a case against them for numerous irregularities and the violation of the text since January.
With the problems growing by day, the Ethics Commission called on the government for rapid intervention.
À mon avis, il est temps que le ministre des Arts et de la Culture prenne le relais définitivement et que tout ça s'arrête.
The hearings of the 8 cases files have been adjourned for the month of March.
Bamwa's food origins of 14 districts of the Bam and Kim and Bam and Noble divisions of the Central region will soon have a cultural museum to conserve and display their rich history, arts, customs, habits, lifestyles, and ancestral heritage and values. The green light was given with the laying of the foundation stone at Nguru in the presence of the ministerial authorities of the Bams and local dignitaries. More on the story with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamu.
The Mbamwas, that is the sons and daughters of the 14 districts that make up the 2 divisions in the Central region, the Mbam and Kim and Bam and Inobo, respectively, turn out in their numbers to witness this history-making ceremony. The ritual, just in the form of the laying of the foundation stone here at Ngoro, sign of the birth of the Mbamwas cultural haven. Place to showcase their arts, custom, habits, and lifestyles. All that concerns their rich ancestral history and objects, which the today and future generations should know and abide with, and to pride for the local traditional custodians who are glad to see something that will not only conserve their culture and tradition, but above all, help transmit the know-how to the young generation. As it will be a learning teaching place also for the acquisition of traditional dances and songs. The museum is a fruit of the roadmap by the grouping for the development of the Mbams this year. And for its realization, the sum of about 400 million is needed from the natives. The deadline is 2025 for the Mbam culture